Hey everybody, okay, so today we're going to do a topic that I have not done in a while, and it is arguably the best Allen wrench set. So we all know what Allen wrenches are. They're used to remove Allen headed screws, which are a six-sided shaped screw head. And you're going to find them in all aspects of locksmithing, from profile cylinders to doorknobs to just whatever. You're going to run across these Allen headed screws everywhere. Not only in locksmithing, but in life in general, doing anything, you're going to run across Allen headed screws. So we're going to talk about the best and my preferred, arguably the best is my preferred, Allen wrench set. Now there's tons of Allen wrench sets on the market, and as you see here, you've got Cobalt, DeWalt, Klein, Husky, all the big box stores, all brands make Allen wrench sets. But as you saw in those, they are all heavy plastic bodies. Not heavy plastic bodies, but they're plastic bodies. They're big, chunky plastic bodies. Now, I don't like plastic-bodied Allen wrench sets. It's kind of par for the course nowadays to have tools that are have plastic all over them. But as we see here with the Eklund, number one, the most important thing, in my opinion, is this little label right here. These are made in the USA. I think they've always been made in the USA. They have a very sleek profile, and more importantly to me, they are all metal. There is not a drop of plastic in these, and I doubt there ever will be. So you can pick these up online from $4 to $7. They have them at my Ace right around the corner for $7.99 for this one. The two that I prefer, obviously you're going to need metric, and you're going to need a standard size. So the standard size that I prefer is the number 20912, and it goes from .050 to 3/16 inch. And the metric goes from 1.5 to 6 millimeter, and it is the 21171. I'll put this in the description of the video. I don't have, some people have asked me if I have like an Amazon referral link. I don't have one of those yet, but on all these videos I'll probably end up eventually going back and setting that up so that I may get some kind of affiliate money for these. But in the meantime, you can find them anywhere from your Ace Hardware. You're not going to find them in big box stores because they focus on other brands. So you're probably either going to have to find an Ace that carries them, or you're going to have to order them online. And like I said, I've seen them online from like $3.25 all the way up to like $8, which you can get them at Ace Hardware for that much. And so what I'm going to talk about here is why these are so good. So with the big chunky plastic body style, I don't like those because when you go and you start turning it, they have a lot of flex. I haven't bought one of those lately, like I hadn't bought the Klein or any of the better brands of them, so they may be a lot more rigid than they used to be, but it's still a big chunky plastic body. And I do not like that because the number one way I carry these is I take it, I'm going to turn this camera around and hope that I'm in view, but you will see that if you flip up the large sizes, let's see, am I in view? You can clip it in your pocket just like a pocket knife, and it is sleek. I'm still able to withdraw stuff from my pocket. If I need to get in there and get change, it's out of the way. But you can't do that with the plastic. You could, but it takes up a lot more room. This is very sleek. You might, wonder if it ever catches on stuff when I'm rubbing up against stuff. Every so often it'll pop up like that. I've never had one come out of my pocket unless I was being really aerobic with my work. But this is my preferred carry method for this. And that's obviously just one size, but if you needed to carry both sizes with you, you can easily clip them both in your pocket, and you have pretty much every size that you're going to need. Now let's talk about sizes and why I prefer these two models. So it starts off the 20912. There is several different sizes of these, and they have the different sizes of wrenches in them. This one again starts at .050, which is pretty much the very smallest one you're going to run across in day-to-day, and it's a very tiny little wrench. And it goes all the way up to the 3/16 size, which is the largest size in that. Same way with the metric one, it starts at 1.5 millimeter and goes up to 6 millimeter. And if you, in the US market, while we do run across quite a few metric things, you do need both because you're going to run across some metric stuff. But if we look at the tips of these, we can tell how much I've used them. And it looks like these two middle ones have been used, and then the smallest sized have been used quite a bit. Pretty much out of all the ones here. And that's, looks like the 1.5, the 2.5, and the 3 millimeter look like they've been more heavily used. But it's just good to have the different sizes that you need. Now you might notice I've got these out here. We're going to go over that in a minute because I'm going to show you how to modify these to make them work better for you. So let's go ahead and pull these out. I couldn't resist this opportunity to show you my bag here, how it's evolved. I've got some videos on this bag. I'll go ahead and pull out a couple more Allen wrenches and a couple of things that I'm going to need to take them apart more than likely and put them back together. So you will need another Allen wrench or a pair of pliers to take them apart to do what I'm about to show you to modify it. You don't have to modify it, but I'm going to show you why I like to modify them and why I feel it's kind of important to do so. While I've got this out here, you know, with Allen wrench sets, you also have the longer ones. You almost never need the long ones except in one case, and the most important case is the lorry style deadbolts. And if you see my watch pocket here, that's where I keep those, and that's why you cannot use in lorry deadbolts. These are used to remove the cylinder from those deadbolts because it's actually a cylindrical deadbolt with a mortise cylinder in it, and you have to have a long Allen wrench to get down in there and remove it. And these are not long enough. So aside from the wrench that you carry every day, you're almost always going to have the longer size lorry wrench, which is 5/64. Those come with every deadbolt, so if you've put even one of them on, you should be able to just keep a collection of them. And you can see here that I keep several loose wrenches in my main pick kit area. Up here, kind of hard to see, but there are a few metric and a few different sizes of loose Allen wrenches here. And with a lot of items, you will get Allen wrenches loose, and you end up having a ton after a while of Allen wrenches that are loose and just messy like that. So while you don't have to buy an Allen wrench, you can buy them individually. You can see that if you're trying to get quickly like a size, using this is kind of not conducive to quickly doing something. So you're going to want to have an Allen wrench set of some kind in your toolbox or in your pocket like I have. Now let's get on to the reason why I want to modify these. So if we look at it, and I pulled these out to show you, and every one of these I've already modified, and if you can see it, it is totally different from how it comes. This is how they come. They come with an Allen screw and a nut holding it in. So the reason I modify them is because when you're working with Allen screws on certain objects, let's take for instance this Baldwin doorknob. We'll get our set and pull out the one we need, which for Baldwin is 1/8 inch. And if you come up against the Baldwin doorknob and you start to unscrew it, you'll see how close you are to the surface of the door. It's right up on the edge of the door. So if you were using one from just straight out of the box, when you turn that, and I've actually had this happen, but when you turn it, that nut that's sticking out has a higher chance of scraping the surface as you turn it. Now most of these you have to turn and then back out and then turn again if you're not using a loose one, but with that nut on there you have a greater chance of when you're turning it to nick it. Also with Jackson panic devices, that's one of the major things, because there is an Allen screw up underneath the push bar on a narrow style glass door. There's an Allen screw like literally right up against the edge of the door, and especially when you're using this, you've got to be careful, obviously not to hit the body, but not to rub that screw on the aluminum, because if that nut, the edge of it, even just brushes aluminum's so soft that it's going to cause it to scratch it, and you don't want to scratch any of the surfaces that you're dealing with. So what I do to modify these is I will go to, you go and you can find these at Ace Hardware again, or you can order them online. These are called Sex screws or Chicago screws or binding post or, let's see what else the name, binding post, a couple other names. I'll go ahead and put the link up here to show you where I found these in the hardware store. And it's 5/8 inches long. It's got a screw on one side and a female part on the other, and the heads are the same, and they are smooth and domed. So once you put that on there, you will see the big difference in how far it sticks out. Provides a much sleeker surface. If you're putting it in and out of your pocket, instead of it catching, it just smoothly rides over that rounded surface. So to take these apart, I'm going to go ahead and do this one right now. And let's zoom in just a bit. It may not be the greatest idea. I zoomed in and then I moved the camera out. That's real good. So what I did first with these is I take these, I put the link up there. I think it's 1024 thread fitting a 3/16 or quarter hole, but there's the link up there. And I'll get some Loctite first of all. Now I've already used Loctite, but get some of your blue Loctite or red. It doesn't really matter, even if you use red, because you probably are not going to take these back apart. But I've already got some blue Loctite on the screw part of this. So we're going to go ahead and take this apart. And I'm going to go over a few little tricks to doing this. Sometimes you got to put an Allen screw in there to hold it steady. On this one, we're not having to do that. So we're going to take this out. Now there is the smaller side. Now to take that screw out, if you push down right there, because I will show you in a second, there's a spring that's pushing those up. We see that spring right there. Okay, see what happens when you let go of that. So we're going to take all these out. And here's that spring. Now there was a washer in there, so you want to remember which side your washer was on. In this case, it was on the smallest side, so that small side doesn't bind up. And once you get that one out, here's your spring. It rides in a center divot and presses down, and that lets it have tension so that it just don't flop out. We're going to take that out, and again we're going to take the other side off, the larger set side. You're going to kind of want to remember how you have it. You want to put this on this side, because if you're reading this 050, it does actually go in order. So you want to kind of put them back on the same side. Now that the spring tension's off, we don't really have to worry about it, but there is a wave washer in this one. If we look real close, it's on that side, so you want to remember the wave washer's on the smaller side of it. So we're going to go ahead and take that out, take those out. Now when you're putting this back together with these screws, you want to start with the smallest sizes first, because you're going to have to put pressure on that spring thing to get your screw in. So if you start with the smallest first, it's much easier. And I did not mean to let these go, so let's put these back in the order they're supposed to be in, which is this, and then the washer. So we're going to start by putting the shaft part of the screw set here through, and I guess I could probably do that one at a time. I guess I could probably do this the correct way, which is that way. I have filmed this one a couple of times, so I'm gonna, no matter what happens in this video, we are done. I'm not gonna refilm this, so accidents and all. But basically, start feeding it through one at a time. Now, oh, okay, so yeah, at this point normally I'd cut this video and start over, but we're not gonna. So let's feed it through one at a time. The correct way. Again, let's make sure we got the biggest one first. And then the next size. see, this looks like the next size. All the way down to the smallest size. And we just feed the nut through, or the post through, one at a time. And you can see how tricky this could be if you had spring tension that you were having to deal with, which is why we're doing the small side first. Okay, so we got those in, but we're missing the washer still, so I'm going to hold this. This side uses the flat washer, so I'm just going to slip it in there and grab our screw and tighten it down. Now you're probably going to need 2 screwdrivers to do this, because as you tighten one side, it's going to spin on the other side. Let's see if we can get it started. So we'll go ahead and tighten it down, see if it'll hold. Sometimes it just grabs by itself and you don't have to, but that's one reason why I have the stubby screwdriver out. As you turn that, we can see it's turning on the other side. Let me grab that. Okay, we're going to tighten it down. And I'm just going to hold this stubby in place on one side and tighten it with another screwdriver on the other side. Now, you don't want to do it, crank it down super tight, but you do want it snug. And as you tighten it, you want to just kind of feel how it's turning there. Once you go too tight, it'll be really difficult to do. And of course, you can snug them up after it's all said and done together. So then after we have that side, we're going to take the spring, and you can see that it's kind of almost a W shape. And we're going to put it in here and then center it on that divot. Now we see how far it's sticking up. So this is why we wanted to do the largest size first, because you got to put pressure down on this to get these other ones through. So if you were doing this just free-handed, you would have to take these and physically take the head of the rounded part here and like physically push it down. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple of little tricks to that. I've got a vice grip that's pre-made to do this, which is right here. It's not really made to do this, but I had ground out the jaws for something else. So if I wanted to, I could take that vice grip and squeeze it down and clamp it into position, and that takes the pressure off of it while I feed these screws, or feed the screw through there. Another way to do that would be to take one of these small C-clamps, or U-clamps. Are they C or U-clamps? Let's zoom back out a little bit. So take this and unscrew it a bit. This does not have the pad. I'm missing the pad on this because I was trying to rig this into something else. But take it, even without the pad, it'll work. Not as easily because it's slippery here. Okay. So we're going to take that and just press it down. So that'll hold that spring out of the way while you feed the... Oh, well, not very well. You get the idea. If it had a pad on there, it would help. But since I don't have one, I'm just gonna use this pair of vice grips. Much easier to deal with. So once you have that, you want the largest size. Where did the third one go? Oh, here it is. Largest size first. Then the next smaller size. Go ahead and feed our post part through there, making sure they're facing the right way. And then the smallest of this size, Push it in. And then take our wave washer, which when I say wave washer, it's got a little curve to it. So that provides a little bit of tension there. Fills up the gap. So I got that together. And using a little screwdriver, let's kind of push this washer into position. And as we do that, I'm trying to get this screw to feed through. Let's get this out of the way. So this is kind of the hardest part of doing this whole thing. All right, now I'm gonna push, okay, and then there we go, snap it in there. Once you get it in there, you want to tighten your other screw in. Holding your tongue just right. Ah, there it goes. And tighten it down. Now, again, don't tighten it down all the way because you want to kind of make sure that wave washer in there is centered. All right, then tighten that down. Hold it steady on the other side. And finish tweaking it here. And test it, of course. So make sure all your wrenches fold up correctly. They do. And you're done. So again, that is the way to modify what is arguably the best Allen wrench set made in the USA, Eklund brand. The 20912 for standard and 21171 for metric. Now with that, you have less chance of it catching. You can put it in and out of your pocket easier because it's more slippy, I guess you could say. And really, in my opinion, again, arguably it's the best Allen wrench set. You can see that I have several of them and I have no other ones out here. Aside from having to carry that lorry wrench, which is longer, necessary. These two sets will pretty much get you anything you need. If you need a bigger Allen wrench, if you need to jump up from the 3/16, then it's a good idea to have either the handle kind, because once you get up to that big, you're going to have to put a lot of pressure on it. And when you're talking, even with metal, these can put a lot of pressure turning on it. But I have a set of, T-handle style for the big screws. And for the ones that are deeper, obviously, you would need a deep set. But all in all, just to carry around to have with you, EDC, so you don't have to go back to the truck to get an Allen wrench set. Eklund brand Allen wrenches are arguably the best Allen wrench sets. Thanks for watching, guys. Y'all have a good one. If you have any questions or if you have your own preferred brand, no matter what it is, let me know in the comments. And thanks again for watching. Y'all have a good one.